And we'll get to Tony Colombo coming in here at the end of the program today. But right now, I want to welcome in our friend Hasha McQueen, who's been on the show with me a couple of times. Hasha, how are you?
Hey, doing fine.
Well, thanks for giving me a little bit of time today. I know we've talked about this on a couple of occasions, your court fight in Missouri over your frozen embryos. And I know that you recently had a setback in court, but now they're at least moving through the Missouri legislature is some legislation that might address situations like this going forward. What can you tell me about it?
Yeah, so it's a House bill, and it's House Bill number 112, and the sponsor on that is John McCarty. Great man, great man. Now, there's another companion bill in the Senate that's going through, and that is Senator Koenig. He's the one carrying that. So it's the exact same bill. Basically, what the bill does is it does two things. One, it tells the judges how to make these decisions. In other words, what standard to use to make these decisions. It's whatever decision they make has to be in accordance with allowing the embryos to grow and develop. And so this actually gives some rights to the embryos because it's a best interest standard for the embryos. And the other part of it is that if the other party does not want to be involved with any children that may be born from the embryos, then they can cut parental rights.
Okay. All right. Did I see where when you posted about this online, draw some parallel with the Dred Scott case?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we all know the Dred Scott case and how painful that was and how a stain on Missouri judiciary that was. And now we're doing it again, unfortunately. In Dred Scott, they said that he was property. And the same thing they're doing here. They're saying humans are property again. But now they're saying embryos are property. You know, it just doesn't make any sense that these are human embryos. These are embryos that are wanted by their parents. And the judges are deciding that the embryos have no rights. The parents have no rights, the ones who want the embryos. And they're going with either terminating or leaving them in cryo-freeze indefinitely, which, of course, will kill them. So
Sure.
Humans are not property in Missouri. Humans should never be property. And yet Missouri is doing this again. I can't even believe it.
But didn't you and I talk about this? Isn't there already language in Missouri that life starts at conception?
Absolutely.
That's just been ignored, right?
Oh, absolutely ignored. I mean, if you read the decision, which is so incredibly telling, I mean, the main decision went on and on and on for 30 or 40 pages, and the dissent, which was written by Judge Dowd, was very succinct and precise, and basically he said, why are you making this up? We have a statute, it's 1.205, and it gives rights to these embryos. Life begins in conception. It's very clear in that area, you know, that all statutes are to be construed with that idea in mind. And so you're right, they completely ignored it. They went out of their way. They created a new category of law that doesn't exist in Missouri. It's absolutely legislating from the bench, and it's horrifying.
Well, I'm glad to see some action on this, and I hope that, I mean, I don't know that HB 112 doesn't necessarily help your case, but it helps others going forward, right?
Exactly, yeah. Well, you know, we've got something in the Constitution, as most states do, that do not allow retroactive laws.
Right.
But me at this point, I just really don't want anybody else to have to go through this. This is gut-wrenching. We are losing two members of our family here under the courts, and it's sad. You know, and it's grieving. And there's no reason why people have to go through this. You know, if I want my children, there's no reason why I shouldn't have them. You know, and if the other party doesn't want them, let them walk away. Cut off parental rights. We can do that. People do that all the time when they put their kids up for adoption. This is no different.
You know, I think we've mentioned this before when we've had you on, but your background as a lawyer is in immigration. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So since I was talking about that earlier, let me pick your brain since I've got you on the radio.
Sure.
I'll kind of put you on the spot.
That's all right.
What I was talking about with this, what everybody's talking about with this crackdown in this, mostly down around some of the border states is where they're complaining about it right now.
Right.
These raids that ICE are conducting, a lot of these actions were from the previous administration that were never enforced.
Oh, exactly. And, you know, let's be really clear about this. And I was just talking to somebody about this earlier. You know, this has been happening. This isn't something new. I mean, it's not that ICE has never done this. They're going after people that they should be going after. These people have gone through deportation process. They need to be deported. And a lot of them have criminal records. Most of them have criminal records. And so, let's be honest with ourselves and not create a panic, which is what the mainstream media is doing,
right?
Acting like this is something new. This is not anything new. And, I listened to the very last part before I came on, tugging at the heartstrings of people saying, oh, this neighbor was so nice, I borrowed sugar from her, or whatever she was saying.
Exactly.
That's nice. But, what a lot of people don't understand about illegals is, my mother's from Peru, okay? She came here legally. I have an uncle, an aunt here. They all came in legal. It took them 10 to 15 years to get here sometimes. But, what people don't understand is that most people that come here, especially Mexicans, they don't want to be citizens. They are proud to be Mexican. In fact, my brother used to work down in Mexico in Monterrey, and he would ask them just, not an official poll, but they're like, no, we don't want to be American. We're proud to be Mexican. We just want to work. And so this concept, this wrong concept Americans have about the Mexican population. And it may be that their children that were born here are the ones they're saying all this, but Mexicans really are proud to be Mexican, which is fine. And the second thing that people don't understand is that, other countries are far harsher on illegal immigrants than we are. And so the people that come here, first generation that come here illegally, understand what Trump is doing. I've spoken to them. They say, hey, I get it. He's supposed to protect his citizens first. They understand. It's not that they don't understand. It's that it's an inconvenience for them, but they totally understand because that is the concept that is pervasive in most of the world.
When I went to I traveled to Mexico last year, I think it was. Went to 2 years ago to Puerto Vallarta. And the cab driver who took me to a golf course while I was there was chewing my ear because he had lived in the States illegally from the time he was a young teenager, got to attend high school in Las Vegas somewhere, worked in the entertainment industry out there for years. His mother got ill, and he came back to Puerto Vallarta. Well, he brought with him his 2 American children who were born here, and when he got back to Mexico, his kids couldn't attend school because you can't attend school in Mexico unless you're a Mexican citizen. If any of us tried to break into Mexico and live down there under the shadows, we would be in a jail somewhere.
Absolutely. It happens all the time. I mean, and, just looking back on in the history of some of these countries and what they do, I mean, they would have people standing there with guns, and they would shoot you if you tried to come by. I mean, this isn't, America is so soft with this. They don't understand that that's not the mentality of most people that come here. They understand what Trump is trying to do. They're just feeding into the fervor because it benefits them at this time. But to say that they don't understand is ridiculous because they do. And we need to kind of get ourselves in that same mindset. We need to understand that the administration is here to protect us as citizens. And, yeah, we do take priority over non-citizens. That's the truth.
Are the courts, in your experience, when it comes to processing this, are they simply understaffed? I mean, why do they always talk about the backlog in these deportation cases?
Well, yeah, part of it is the bureaucracy that we've created for ourselves. They have to do X, Y, Z and ABC, and so that's what creates a lot of this backlog. Even with applications that you submit for people that are trying to get here legally, for crying out loud, you're waiting. Why? Because you have to fill out like 15 different applications that all say the same thing. I mean, it's a nonsense. I mean, I'll just as an example of that. Let me just tell you a quick example. I've been practicing since 2003, and we had a form that was for a representative for an attorney that if you represented somebody, you filled it out. It was 1 page. 3 years ago, they changed it to 4 pages. Why? There was no rhyme or reason to it. It had the same information on it and didn't have anything that was crucial. But this bureaucracy, it is bureaucracy gone wild.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm not surprised to hear that, given all the regulations that have come down the pike the last few years. Hashem McQueen, listen, thanks for your time. I'm glad. Thanks for the information on HB 112, and you tell me that Senator Koenig has similar legislation in the Senate. I'm hoping they can get those passed and signed into law. Oh, absolutely, and I think it's important that we answer back to the courts on this as a people, because we can't let this stand. I mean, that is nonsense that they're saying that these are property. These humans are property.
And I encourage anybody to please call their senator or their representative and say that you want this legislation passed.
Good point. Hasha, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Always good talking to you.